see a massive black hole up ahead.
Black hole. Understood. I'll inform the other team members. For now, find a safe place to descend.
Roger.
Bright Memory Infinite is the Chinese love child of guns and swords that your mama warned you about. The sequel to 2020's Bright Memory, describing itself as a lightning-fast FPS fusion game that combines a mixture of gunplay, swords, and what are basically techno powers to ruin the bad guy's day, packed all into a very, very visually appealing package of the Unreal 4 engine. The game is seriously stunning and at times breathtaking, and I really wish there was a photo mode so I can grab a few of these screenshots for a wallpaper, and I actually did. It is beautiful to look at. More than it has any right to be, considering the runtime and the team. Yeah, speaking of runtime, this game will be quicker for you to finish than Yo Mama, taking roughly 2 hours to finish. It's not a long adventure ahead of you, but it does try to give you an ever bum-beating rush of constant action and gameplay, making those 2 hours count. Mostly. I can't complain too much though. The original Bright Memory was created by one man, betrayed by the country he loves. No, just playing. It's created by one guy with a bit of grit and a bit of kick-ass attitude. Created by Zeng, FYQD, FYQD, Xiancheng. I really hope I got all that right. I really didn't. I'm sorry, Zeng. But it was created by Zeng! And it's worth noting that Zeng previewed the game in 2017 and finally got some financial support from Unreal Dev Grants and Epic Games to finish the work. Nice! Now, we take on the role as Xilia, a strong female protagonist with a massive light sword, exactly 4 guns, and a powerful godlike exosuit that would make your average Crisis fan shrill in their pants. Thrust into a mission to save the world from a black hole, I suppose, or some ancient time magic, maybe, or a dragon emperor. I'm actually not sure, because if there is a story here, it's not very coherent and it lacks any kind of build or structure or flow. And this kind of means that you get halfway through the game and kind of forget what you're doing until you get to the end of the game and kind of forget what you're doing there. The story is kind of used as a means to get you from A to B, to keep shooting stuff rather than telling you anything meaningful, which I think is okay. Doom didn't have much of a story, but Doom was at least coherent. Bright Memory Infinite isn't going to spin you a yarn, but it does have the hot babe versus evil bad guy who's bad because he's a bad guy thing well. That kind of lack of narrative is enough for most people, and it was for me in this case. But what confused me the most was the music, which I can only describe as so generic that Zeng must have gotten a knock at the door from Activision asking for its source. The music is a bit hit and miss for me in this package. The music does change per scene you find yourself in. In one instance, you're listening to generic fight music, and the next, a blissful scene of a Chinese feudal village where you happen to be killing some pigs. For each scene though, in a void, the music works. Though together, it gives you a bit of a disjointed sense of placement, and I think cheapens the gameplay a bit sometimes, rather than enhancing the overall gameplay experience. This could be the time displacement you're experiencing, but we'll get into that. Being a first-person shooter, you're expecting in-battle sounds to be perfect enough for you to coordinate your attack and defense accordingly, right? Pretty straightforward stuff. Everything from the enemy noises to the gunshots to the environmental effects such as storms and wind all play into a really good engaging experience, especially in the early game when you lack any real power-ups and you're just slowly getting into it. Though as you progress into the game, some enemies are pretty silent or drowned out by the myriad of noises themselves until they're right behind you basically, which can be a bit of a problem when a lot of the gameplay requires you to mix up your blocking and attacking moves together. You can't block if you can't hear the guys right there. The environmental noise isn't all bad though. It works perfectly in this universe, which I'd like to take a minute to say is absolutely stunning. In most aspects, Bright Memory Infinite creates a gorgeous environment to play in. It looks good. Very good. Every scene is a screenshot for a wallpaper, and I did. Zeng has really made an effort to ensure that the immersion of the environment to play in is at the forefront of the game's aesthetic and appeal. Every blade of grass, every reed, every old roof, drop of rain, wind, color of the trees, waves of water, it all plays together to create an extremely pleasant result. Murky, dark, and stormy, sure, but it gives you these moments of intoxicating sunshine just as the storm breaks. The Unreal Engine has always done environments well, but its potential is on full display here in Bright Memory Infinite. The creator never misses an opportunity to give you a brief and only just brief moment to enjoy the world before throwing you into another shoot arena for some generic soldiers. Look, that's maybe not too fair. I've seen and played games that have massive teams of people working on it, millions in the bank, and they couldn't get this right. The character models, I mean, and the soldiers. Sure, the character models look a little generic. We're talking about the soldiers for one, especially the soldiers actually. They might have even been stolen. Actually, yes, they were stolen. So that last little bit, in 2019, Zeng admitted to stealing some of the enemy models without getting licenses to them. But Zeng later did announce that the money from the game sales he would use to hire an art designer and reach out to the original rights holders. I've tried to have a look and I can't see that there's anything been picked up on this, but I really hope they did work it out. The models themselves are very samey, and that's fine considering what we're trying to do here at Bright Memory Infinite. Just shoot things. And that really bugs me far less than the bugs themselves. And there are a few, which don't freak me out or anything. They don't ruin the game for me. They would break a little bit of immersion, especially when a soldier clips through a fountain, or when Xilia clips through a shield or two, but for me, nothing game breaking. Sure, any glitch or bug is going to take you out of that immersion, which is just a bit of a shame. The market for good FPS games is nearly flooded, even more so for tactical first-person shooters, but Bright Memory Infinite does bring some unique elements to the table to help it stand out. Like, you know, you've got your AR automatic rifle, your shotgun, handgun, and sniper. Well, that's it. You get 4 guns. Each of these, though, also has some alternative fire modes that you can continuously upgrade through the game by collecting these jade idols throughout. You can also upgrade your sword, the light blade, or your exosuit, which has its own set of telekinetic and electrical powers. The core gameplay of Bright Memory Infinite kinda wants to push you to mix these gameplay elements up for maximum effect in-game. It's essentially to create a bright dance, if you will. Block, deflect, cut, shotgun, sword, gun, dead. Pretty simple. Not a complicated formula, but it does create an interesting variety for gameplay, especially in the late game when things get a little long in the tooth, which is a great thing, because for a game that is only 2 hours long, it keeps trying very, very hard to give you more interesting things to do, even if you don't need to do those things. There's a stealth level for some reason, which just feels like it's there because someone told the creator a stealth level would be cool. It doesn't do anything, or it doesn't create any more interesting gameplay or suspense. It doesn't really play into the story. It just serves as nothing, and it's really a boring time sink. Similar to the car segment. Yeah, there's a car in this game, and not a Jeep or anything that you would expect in a rocky, broken up world that you see here, just a normal stat. Why? Because reasons. I don't know. I mean, it might be in the first game, but I didn't really get it. Why not just have Xilia hijack an enemy Jeep? Take those guys down and then drive the Jeep. Like, it seems that would be more fun to see. It just seemed silly to me, and again, it didn't really add anything to the game. It felt on rails anyway. Take out both of these scenes and the game would be better for it in my opinion. Sure, a little shorter, but I don't think it would have mattered. Replace that time with collecting more statues or upgrades or more bosses. Speaking of, the game does prompt you to break boxes to get more points to upgrade in the game, but frankly, nice idea, but one that's lost on the core gameplay. The boxes hardly give you anything most of the time, and even on my third playthrough, I just didn't even bother anymore. In that way, the general flow of the game feels a little stagnant over time for me, broken up by only a minor selection of bosses or changes to bigger melee enemy types. The only boss fight that is even worth mentioning is the fight against the Emperor, and that he was the most challenging. All the other boss fights are just really big enemies that you just wail on and cheese with your upgrades until they're dead. Shoot it until it's dead, basically. No, Bright Memory Infinite isn't a very long game, but a part of me is kinda thankful for that, because it gave everything it had, and then some. More than most AAA games, might I add. And I think whatever it was giving ran out right at the end. Without a solid narrative to carry it, or a more complicated upgrade system to support it, Bright Memory Infinite is good fun, but outside of the fun of blending moves and weapons together to slice and dice some no-named soldiers, there's not much more going on here. But if a shooter gets to the point, lets you mix a combination of guns with swords, some special powers, without a complicated story, set in a space that is completely very pretty to look at, then Bright Memory Infinite will be perfect for you. Just don't ask more than that, because for all its attitude and massive balls and hard work, it does fall a little short from some of these attempts. It's fun to play, and it's beautiful to look at. I used to review tech and food, and as a South African, it always came down to, can I afford this? And I think that's kind of relevant here today too. Bright Memory Infinite. No, it's not a great game. No, it's not going to win any awards. But in my opinion, that's fine. There's games that have a million times more budget, a team and size and support that Bright Memory Infinite can only imagine. But I've seen weaker execution by those teams in comparison to Bright Memory Infinite. And for that, bravo. But for all that it brings to the table, it does so empty. It does so tired. It's pretty, but tired. kind of like an emo kid, which is why, for all the fun I had, I'm giving Bright Memory Infinite my get it on sale rating. The next time it's on special on Steam or COG or wherever, best time to get it, not before. While the price as it stands is only $20, it's really not bad. I'd still wait for a Steam or Epic sale. It's just the way I feel. Unless $20 is not too bad for you, then go and grab it now and have a bit of fun. And that is Bright Memory Infinite, guys. Thanks so much for stopping in. I really hope you enjoyed my review, and if you did, please drop me a like. As a millennial, I desire and require the validation of strangers on the internet. It's a thing, I've looked it up. Or, if you want to support me another way, share my channel to a friend, or check out some of my other videos. Until next time, guys, take care, rip and tear. Cheers.
Time's up, that's all!